candidate forum in 3 nights. We've got 2 more in the coming weeks after this, but we are always looking for opportunities to help people in the Northeast understand what's going on in their communities and hear from the people who are elected to set a course for all the cities we have here in the Northeast. So with that, I'm very pleased to introduce Mr. Brian Brown, who's the Legislative Chair for the Northeast Johnson County Chamber, who's going to be tonight's moderator. Brian.
Hopefully I shouldn't need a microphone. This is going to be a hidden group tonight. So thank you all for being here tonight. As mentioned, my name is Brian Brown. I'm the Legislative Chair of the Northeast Johnson County Chamber of Commerce, and thank you so much for being here tonight. I will be your moderator for tonight's event for this mayoral city council candidate debate. Before we get started, I just would like to share some housekeeping items with both you and the individuals here. Candidate responses for each question will be limited to 1.5 minutes, 1.5 minutes. For opening and closing statements, they will get 2.5 minutes to be able to share reasons why they feel they're the best candidate for this position. During this process, no questions will be taken from the audience, but however, candidates have been asked to stay afterwards, so if there's any individual questions or you would like to engage an individual candidate, please feel free to do so after this event. The official timekeeper of this event is going to be Ms. Deb Settle with the Northeast Johnson County Chamber of Commerce. And this form will be videotaped and eventually placed on the Shawnee Mission Post, as well as the Vote JOCO website for you to review and or forward and share with friends and neighbors if you so choose to. Now at this time, I'd like to introduce the candidates that are present for tonight's event. Please know that all candidates that are running for office were extended an invitation. So at this time, when I call your name, please acknowledge and stand. Mayoral candidates, Mr. James Poplinger, Ms. Melanie Hepperly, Ms. Kellyanne Busick, Mr. Dan Bailey, and Ms. Tammy Deese. We will go ahead and begin with the opening remarks from our first speaker, Mr. James Poplinger.
I'm Jim Poplinger. I've had the pleasure and the privilege to serve on the City Council, representing Ward 1 for the last 10.5 years. I've also been the chairman of the Administration Committee for the last 8 years. Spent a lot of time in administration. We've rewritten the city code, which was extensive project, trying to eliminate redundancies, inconsistencies within the code, generally clean it up and make it say what we actually do. We organized a citywide trash service that replaced a system that included a mixture of city contracted trash pickup, homes association contracted pickup, individual contracted pickup, many different carriers, different days. The interesting thing is when that was done, we found there were some people that were getting their trash picked up and they weren't even paying for it. So anyway, that's I think a big accomplishment that had been resisted for a long time. Several of the homes associations felt it was a good way to make sure their dues were paid. They were able to cut off somebody's trash. We were able to get that done, and today that is a service that we contract in conjunction with both Roland Park and Westwood, and Mark helps us with the bid process and administration. We've instituted a voluntary bulk leaf pickup in the fall, which again is, I think, another great service. And we've just recently completed our work as a committee on the employee manual, and it's under final legal review now, and there's much more to be done, and I would love the opportunity to continue to serve the city as its mayor.
Thank you very much, sir. At This time, we'll now hear your opening remarks from the secretary. Did everybody hear okay? Okay.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you very, very much for coming this evening. It's a great opportunity for you to be able to see each of us, to listen to our ideas, and we appreciate your time being here. A special thanks to our host this evening, the Northeast Johnson County Chamber of Commerce, and Shawnee Mission, where's Jay? The Shawnee Mission Post. Thank you for both of you for hosting this. We really do appreciate it. I think it's a great idea. I have served on the City Council for 8.5 years. It's been a busy 8.5 years. I have chaired the Finance Committee each of those years. I have served as Council President for 7 of those years. I also, much to the Mayor's chagrin at times, have told him that I want to serve on every committee, because at that time, he's smiling at me, because with that, I'm able to understand all of the processes that under which the city functions. And I think that is very, very important for the Finance Committee Chair to do that. So I've served on the Admin Committee for 8 years, the Parks and Rec for 8 years, and Public Works for 4. I served on the Police Committee for the first 6 months that I was on the council. I have returned the city to a very strong financial position during that 8 years. I have accomplished that by introducing a zero-based budgeting process, which the department heads have welcomed. We start at 0 each year to build our budget. We look at all of our services and determine whether or not they should be enhanced, continued as they are, or maybe even discontinued. I've also managed the debt, including refinancing. I have instigated the financing acquisition propositions for several assets, Public Works building, the pool, and also our new city hall, as well as returning the reserves to the city. We had no reserves 8 years ago. We now have a policy for those reserves. It is 10% of our budget. So we are in a strong financial position. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am. We'll now hear the opening remarks from Ms. Musa.
All right, yes, hi everyone, good evening. Thank you for coming. I've never run for political office before. This is my first time. My husband and I have lived in Fairway for 14 years, and we lived in the same home in Ward 1, and we're 5 houses down from State Park Road. When we were at Kansas State University, we used to come to Kansas City all the time, and we would drive around, and I was like, oh, this is such a beautiful area, and I didn't know it was Fairway at the time. And when we moved here 14 years ago, I decided this is where I wanted to live, because I love the area so much. I have a degree in animal science from Kansas State University, and when I first went back to school, I didn't know how to type. Never took it in high school. And back then, we'd take business or college. So I went to the Manhattan Voc Tech and learned how to type, and then learned computers. And then I went back to school part-time, full-time, got my degree, started working for the state of Kansas, and now I work for University of Kansas School of Medicine. I'm assistant medical director, and I help facilitate education for year 1 and year 2 medical students. I work with hundreds of faculty and staff, research, clinical, and on 3 different campuses, Kansas City, Wichita, and Salina. So I'm working with over 430 students, and I'm working with at least 200 to 300 faculty. And I'm really good at problem solving. It's one thing I have to do for my faculty and for my staff, and they know I'm the person that can get the resources and get things done. I can recognize challenges and opportunities, and I'm all about communicating, cooperating, and collaborating. I'm so excited to do this. I've already been getting phone calls from citizens in Ward 1. And in working with these students and with people that I work with at the university, I've learned so much, and I know that not only medicine, but many fields are lifelong learning situations. And this is a new learning situation for me, and I'm up for the challenge, and I thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Cusick. Now hear the opening remarks from Mr. Dan Bailey, representing Ward 2.
Thank you. My name's Dan Bailey. My wife Wendy and my daughter Wynn have lived in Ward 2 for 7 years. I'm sure you'll hear from Wynn at some point during this debate. I do want to say a quick thanks to Shawnee Mission Post and the Northeast Johnson County Chamber of Commerce for putting this on. We're going to go over, I'm sure, a lot of different issues tonight. My background, I do have a degree in geological engineering from University of Missouri-Rolla. Clearly, the biggest issue we face in Fairway right now is that of the flooding of Rock Creek, and specifically Ward 2. We are in a great spot financially. We're in a great spot as a city. I don't think anybody would debate that we're not one of the top 5 cities in the Kansas City metro area. The next mayor has big shoes to fill from what Jerry has accomplished over the years, and I want to echo what Melanie said. We are in a good spot financially. So it is Rock Creek that needs to be solved, and past that, it's there are other issues that face us, but we are in a good spot. So I'm excited to take on this opportunity if I was to get elected. I am not a politician by any means, but I can promise you right now, this is as far as I will go politically, but I am willing and able to give it 100%. I work with large project teams every day in my job with my engineering firm, managing $1 million projects. So really the RFQ, RFP process, working with engineers, execs, that's nothing new to me. So if, like I said, if I was to get elected, I'd jump in head first and take whatever challenge rolled at me there.
Very good, thank you, sir. We'll now hear the opening remarks from incumbent and challenge Ms. Keys.
Thanks for the privilege of your time this evening. I'm Tanya Keys, live at 59th and Delmar, so real close to Pizza 51. If you know where that area is. As been mentioned, I'm unopposed in this election. I'm really proud to be here. I'm proud to be the voice for Ward 4, and I've learned so much and enjoyed it so much. I'm also proud for this city. I appreciate the staff, the committees that we have, and the Planning Commission. As you've heard, we've had a lot of accomplishments in the past 4 to 5 years. Ones that have been close to my heart are the pool renovation, and I'm particularly excited about the collaboration with the Shawnee Indian Mission. Those have just been really great to learn from and to feel a part of the community. So thanks for being here tonight.
Thank you very much, Ms. Keys. As we proceed on to the question portion of this program, I'll basically explain to you in our contested race for the individuals that we have here, we will go and speak in alternating fashion. So as Mr. Poplinger opened, we will have Ms. Hepperly respond first, and we'll continue to alternate throughout all the way through to the closing statements. Then, as we ask questions, we will continue to move from the mayoral group to Ward 1, or to, actually Ward 2. Ward 1, then Ward 2, Ward 3 is not represented in Ward 4, then we'll start and slide with the next ward and just move down the table and start so that everybody can follow with me. So the first question starts with somewhat of an anecdotal start, but then we'll get to a question portion. Residential redevelopment has been a recent trend in certain areas in this corridor, the county. Mission Highlands and Mission Valley areas of Ward 4 examples where this tear-down rebuild trend is being realized. The original homes in this neighborhood are typically single-story, 2-bedroom homes. The new houses are often more than twice as large. So the questions that we'll have the candidates respond to is, how do you propose making current residents feel wanted and welcome in these changing neighborhoods while still making the area inviting for those who want to build new? Ms. Hepperly?
Fairway is a very unique city, and each of the wards are unique in their own way. Ward 4 is special because the sizes of the houses are smaller. But we have in place ordinances that regulate the setbacks, the green space, all of those kinds of issues. And if those are followed strictly by the Planning Commission, then these houses should be built in a way that accommodates the size of the lot. I do believe that in order for the Ward 4 individuals specifically to feel wanted and involved, is that we have participation on the planning commission from each of the wards. I would encourage the homeowners to come to the council meetings, talk to us, talk to their individual ward representatives, let them know their feelings so that they understand what is going on and what in their ward and what the feelings are. And we very much want them to feel wanted.
Very good, thank you so much, Mayor. Mr. Collier?
Well, the redevelopment issue is not a new one by any means. We certainly have had it in Ward 1. It's been a big deal in Ward 3. Yes, it's now moving to Ward 4. The issue is, of course, that in some cases you do have houses that, for one reason or another, do not have the value that merits them remaining. They become attractive to tear down and rebuild. And recently, the Planning Commission has worked fairly diligently, and the City Council along with them, to move from a one-size-fits-all type of regulation to addressing the needs of different size lots and the different wards. And I'm not going to say that what's been done is perfect, but it's certainly been an attempt to address that situation. And the simple fact of the matter is, at the end of the day, that we have to allow redevelopment. We have to allow the building of housing that is attractive to today's population, or the city is not going to move forward. Hopefully, through the Planning Commission regulations, we'll be able to maintain sizes that are fitting for the children.
Thank you very much for your response. Ms. Busey, questions about
Ward 1 is mostly cave-style housing, and I know from speaking with Tiny Keys about Ward 4 and living here for 14 years, it's a really special ward because of the size of the area of each lot, and most of those homes were built with one bathroom. And so it's important in this day and age that we have as many amenities as possible to be able to live, have our children and so forth, and families, and be comfortable. I think with representation, in the past few months I've been coming to the city council meetings, and I think it's important to harken what Melanie said, is to be an advocate for your ward, to invite them to come, to talk with them, but more importantly to listen to what they're saying to you. And come to the city council and present their thoughts, their worries, their issues, and go from there. I've already been getting phone calls from people, and so now I have different issues that I'm going to talk about tonight, which I wasn't going to talk about. So I'm really excited because I think that Tanya is an excellent representative, and if anybody, the new people who do move into Ward 4 and new people who move into Ward 1, I'd be more than happy to meet with them.
Thank you very much, Mike. And Ms. Keys, I think you have a new person as well, too. Mr. Wrigley, questions now to you, sir.
Okay. So specifically talking about Ward 4, Mayor Wiley asked me to be on the commission that revamped the R1 residential standards a few years ago. So we went through that, it was revamped, and since then it has been looked at again, and I think that's going to be a continually evolving document. I currently serve on the Board of Zoning Appeals. My wife does serve on the Planning Commission representing Ward 2. The tear down and rebuild phenomenon isn't anything new, and it isn't a bad thing as long as it's regulated and as long as it's looked at. I think Fairway was in a reactive position for a while to where now we are more in a proactive position. The Planning Commission, I think Melanie said it, she's absolutely correct. We need representation from every board on that Planning Commission. When you actually look at the maps, look at the lot sizes, it's interesting to note that the average lot in Ward 1 is the same size as the average lot in Ward 4. So there's been plenty of redevelopment in Ward 1, and overall, it's worked well, so I don't see any reason why, with collaboration, that can't be done in Ward 4.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bailey. Ms. Skeets?
There's, as you've just heard, there's been a lot of talk about Mission Highlands. I do keep in connection with various streets of the alphabet in Ward 4 so that we can keep tabs on construction. I think what I've really appreciated is the thoughtfulness around permits and making sure that contractors and builders are held to their permit times and various milestones within that building process. I've really appreciated that. There's thoughtful oversight from city staff, and they're always willing to listen when neighbors are concerned that a site isn't maintained in the way it should be, might be causing some problems with parking or all the different ways that when you have that kind of revitalization and rebuilding in your neighborhood, there can be some pieces that aren't a great fit, but I really appreciate everyone's monitoring and making sure that when we do have a rebuild, that it goes swiftly and that there is the least amount of disruption to neighbors.
Thank you very much. Amenities that Fairway lacks today that you would like to see come to the city? If so, what are they? And how can the city attract them?
I think in December, are we leaving this lovely space now? Yes, we're leaving this space in December.
Yes.
Yes. I think that one of the biggest amenities we've lost is that the mall is no longer here. And we've lost the little shops. Other than the shops that we have in Ward 1 and Ward 4 and whatever businesses we do have, I think it'd be great if we could promote business within the park, have small businesses, convince the owners to lease out, and so we can attract more revenue and more tax revenue for Fairway. Also, I know this is a big thing, but we're such a community and a culture of progress, and we're always moving forward. And unfortunately, I think too fast at times, but Wi-Fi is a huge thing, and I've been to cities that have citywide Wi-Fi, and it's free. So we could put that into whatever we use, a mill levy or whatever. I'm not an expert, I'm learning, but I think that would be a great amenity, but also bringing more businesses into Fairway.
Thank you, Mr. Mr. Green, questions here?
So continuing on the line of thought that we are in a good position here in Fairway. We have the pool, we have the city hall moving into a great new building in December. We are within 10 minutes to just about everything you'd want to have in a city. So is Fairway lacking amenities? Sure, but they are around in the neighborhood. They are around at the plaza. They are places you can easily get to. I mean, when I think of amenities, it's more of connectability between cities. It's more walkability, bikeability. It's Fairway taking the master plan, which they've been developing over the last year, and taking those ideas and actually implementing those ideas. I was at a meeting last night at the Shawnee Indian Mission, and they have all kinds of new things that should be happening over the next 4 or 5 years. Absolutely nothing is set in stone. They were talking about on the, what would that be, the most west building, the possibility of a coffee shop, a community gathering spot. So there are absolutely things that we could be doing in the future for Fairway, but as far as amenities go, they're really going to be creature comforts, if you will. We are in a good spot.
Very good. Thank you very much, Mr. Bailey. Ms. Keys, the questions to you.
I agree, we're in a great spot. When I think about amenities, I think about all the services and the personal touches that we get from our city staff, where we receive after storms and a number of pieces. So I'm so grateful for that, grateful to be nestled among a lot of great things in Northeast Johnson County. So I don't know that I've thought about amenities. There are times when I go to Russell Stover's, that I sometimes miss the Amoco to get gas, but then it's quickly remedied with the caramel apple. So, I probably take a lot for granted, and I'm just so, I feel so grateful to be so close to so many things. So, and very much looking forward to future innovations, whether we can expand programming with our Parks and Recreation, with our new facilities, as well as the Shawnee Indian Mission. I think there's potential for some special touches to come.
Thank you very much, Ms. Keys. The question now goes to Mr. Popley.
Well, I think that, you can talk about amenities that we don't have within Fairway, but I think the key is we don't need to have everything within Fairway. We are very fortunate to be in a large metropolitan area where everything is available. What makes Fairway is our residential neighborhoods. And I think it's very important that we maintain them pretty much as they are. Update them, keep everything in repair, maintain all the public infrastructure, the streets, the park, the pool, which we've done, and provide the services that the city does provide. The police, very important. Public Works, very important. Parks and Rec gives us a great many amenities that are appreciated by our community. And so we don't have to be all things to all people. We just need to do what we do well.
Thank you very much, sir. Ms. Everly.
Jim and I agree on a lot of things. And one of which is Fairway is primary residential. That is what makes us unique. We do have commercial area, but it is limited. And I don't see that changing. What I do see happening, and this has to do with the outstanding staff that we have here at City Hall. I will echo what others have said. We now have in place areas where the staff can help us grow and help us generate additional revenue. One is at the pool. You've seen it with the rentals of the shelter, with the use of the multi-purpose room. Our memberships have increased greatly at the pool. You'll also see it at the space at City Hall. We will have a space there that can be rented, so you'll see increased revenues from that area. And then a third area, which is very exciting, and that is the Shawnee Indian Mission. We will see changes there. We are now operating that because the state cut their budget and eventually was going to no longer fund that. So we are in process, the foundation is, in establishing an endowment fund. So we will see opportunities there to continue Fairway being the unique city that it is.
Thank you very much, ma'am. We'll now progress to question number 3, and we'll be starting with you, Mr. Bailey. And it just so happens, as you had alluded to in your opening comments, you had alluded to Rock Creek. The question now is this: Rock Creek has become an increasingly a flooding hazard for Fairway residents who live along the waterway. What actions would you recommend Fairway take to address this issue?
So a minute and a half, I will be able to scratch the surface on this question. When the development in Mission gets completed, there is absolutely no way that there will be less water coming into Fairway as compared to what there is now. What there is now, we currently have problems. I don't have a specific answer to that question of exactly what to do, but I know there are solutions out there to mitigate the effect of the water that comes into Fairway to slow it down. I was at a meeting last night, and I'm not going to Ross Perot everybody here, but there's a resident that has been collecting information for the last 20 years, and I can show anybody this after. These are the culverts that used to feed into Fairway. These are the 3 new culverts that Mission put up that now currently feed into Fairway. There's nothing to slow that water down. The only thing that's been done is that water's been channelized. So with my background in geological engineering, with our city engineer on staff, Dr. Morris from the University of Missouri-Rolla, where I also attended school, I do feel like I'm in a unique position to help move this over the goal line. I'm not going to make any specific promises right at this moment, but I think we can get there as a city.
Very good, thank you. And it just happened to line up this way that he had the visual aids to the question. Everybody else, it's a challenge now moving forward. Ms. East, the question is to you, ma'am.
I think I have spent a lot of time in the past 4.5 years learning as much as I can about this. My background is social work, so I don't have architectural or engineering. I've wanted to learn so much because I know this is a serious issue facing the city. I think what I've determined is I need to continue to learn. We've had a number of assessments, we've had a number of consultants, but I'm not sure that the solution is just with the city. I think what I've learned is that the solution is going to take collaboration and an intergovernmental response with everyone defining the same problem so that we can make progress. I'm not sure all the steps that need to be taken to do that, but I know that we're committed to keeping this matter at the forefront because it impacts so many folks who live in Fairway. It's very serious.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Questions to you first, Ms. Dunn?
This is one of my primary goals as mayor. This is a very complicated issue. It is an issue that will not be solved quickly. The mayor has already taken some preliminary steps, and I have assured him that I will begin immediately where he has left off to continue with steps. It's going to take the collaboration of all the surrounding cities as well as the county. I've already reached out to the county and had some discussions with them. I am a CPA. I do not have that background either, but I am willing to learn. The current APWA 5600 standards are in the process of being rewritten. They will be completed in 2018. They will be updated with recent rainfall statistics which will help us solve this problem because it's been about 30 years since they've been updated. And so with the collaboration of the surrounding cities, I really truly think we will be able to find a solution to this problem. It is serious in Fairway. This past summer, with the 3 events back to back, it was evident to all residents. Many residents had water in their basement that had never had water before. So this will be a top priority for me. It will be something that I will begin to resolve immediately.
Thank you very much. Mr. Pompey.
This is a problem that's developed over the last, let's say, 30 to 40 years, and as a result of upstream development. I think to address it, we need a two-pronged approach. We need to look within our city for any possible thing that we can do to reduce the problem. Within our city, we can't solve it, which brings us to the second prong, which is collaborative action with all the jurisdictions that fall within the watershed of Rock Creek. And as Melanie mentioned, the current mayor has already taken action in that regard, and we need to continue to follow that path. It is a very serious problem. It affects property. It also affects safety because those waters come up very quickly. They impede the ability of emergency services to reach parts of the city when the water is up. And it affects all of us, not just the people that are right along the creek. We need to solve it.
Thank you very much, sir. Ms. Feasel.
This is an issue that was just brought up to me this week. It's always been an issue for me, but I had a citizen call me, and I believe that Fairway this will never change. The problem will never change unless we start moving proactively. And I think, as Melanie said, she's already looking at the county. So to me, that's a leadership role. I think Fairway needs to take a more of a leadership role with the municipalities around us and start working on this. Because if we're not going to change anything, it's not going to change. It's just going to get worse. And if we're not going to make a difference and move things forward, it is a safety issue. I live 5 houses up from State Park Road. I saw a car float up my street. I've never seen that before. I really, I'm concerned about Ward 1. We have a lot of flooding in Ward 1. I'm concerned about the whole city. But I think taking that leadership role, and Mr. Bailey, I totally agree. This is something that's going to be top on priorities for the city of Fairway.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Moving to question 4. be starting with Ms. Keys. Fairway's made significant improvements recently, as many mentioned, with an updated pool, as they alluded to, the acquisition of a new building house in City Hall, as well as a building for Public Works. In your mind, Ms. Keys, what major projects do you feel need to be tackled next to put Fairway in a much better position?
We're still in the process of City Hall. That's we're closing in on the finish line for that as we get through this season. I think perhaps what you just heard in this previous question is a significant project excursion problem for us to continue to work on. It's going to take a lot of effort, and as you've heard, a lot of collaboration. I don't know, I don't think if there's any capital this is going on. I can't think of any structural or capital pieces that would take importance over really putting some concerted, deliberate energy into making progress with the watershed and flood control.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Question goes to Mr. Pop.
Well, the next major project is, relates to the Rock Creek issue, and that's the replacement of the Sheridan Road Bridge. And the thought there is to replace it with a bridge that instead of two arches is a single span, but still of the same size as the current bridge, not an intrusive structure. Beyond that, it relates to the watershed. I think one thing that's coming up is we have to face up to the area up near the church. There's extensive flooding there. There's been talk of realigning State Park Road, maybe raising it a little bit, and we also have the southeast corner of Mission Road and Shawnee Mission Parkway, where the two houses are. There was work done about 9 years ago regarding turning that into a green space, and I think we need to pursue that. And we're going to, at some point, have to pursue acquisition of that property in order to accomplish that in conjunction with flood projects in the area.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Helen.
I see two major projects. One is stormwater, which I've already addressed. As Jim mentioned, the Sheridan Bridge, the design is budgeted in the capital improvements budget to happen in 2018, with the building in 2019, building the bridge. I think it's important that the stormwater remain on our radar continuously. So that's number one. Number two, for me, project behind stormwater, but no less important, just totally different, is the Shawnee Indian Mission. The city, the documents that I played a major role in establishing with the Kansas Historical Society and the Shawnee Indian Mission Foundation in the city allows for the city to operate and provide the funding, cash flow, for 3 years for the operation of the mission. After that time, it will be an endowment fund that will provide those operation funds. The city will be paid back 100% of the cash that we have provided to them. So that project has to be top on our list to make sure that that endowment fund is completed within that 3-year period of time. There is much potential at the Shawnee Indian Mission. It is a major asset within the city, and we need to make sure that it stays that way.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Ms. Reese.
I concur that stormwater is, I think it's the top priority right now. But also, since KCP&L is one of the sponsors of this, I wanted to mention, I think we need to work with them to establish a more robust electrical infrastructure. Fairway, during these last storms that we had, lost a lot of revenue and tax revenue in Ward 1 from our businesses. Henhouse was closed on Sunday, and that's their biggest day. They lost thousands of dollars in business, and therefore we lost tax revenue also. Same with Houlihan's and First Watch. They're food-based. We have to throw out the inventory. And to me, also supporting the city and our residents, when you lose electricity for 4 or 5 days, that's a long time. And we have people who may have oxygen, there's probably health issues, it could be older people, children, what have you. We have to think about that, because that's never gonna change either. If we don't change the infrastructure of the electrical conduits to our city, put it underground, it's always gonna be the same.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bailey.
Okay, so echoing a lot of the same sentiment here, clearly stormwater is the biggest issue. I fully agree on the Shawnee Indian mission. That should always be in our sights. You got to it before me, but another issue that I was going to bring up was that of our electrical infrastructure. We in Fairway had the highest percentage of households without power of any city in the area. We in Fairway had the most amount of citizens without power for the longest amount of time, and that's because we have very small circuits. So we have an antiquated system that Kansas City Power and Light put up. When you have electricians out, they'll look up at those poles and say, I can't believe that is still there. The issue is a large dollar issue. It's a multi-million-dollar issue. No one knows what that price tag is. There was a study in the early 2000s that Fairway did. I can't really even decipher that study. I've tried, but with the advancements in underground boring, we don't know what that cost would be. So it's almost counterintuitive, but what I would propose is you start working on the smaller circuits first, bury the lines that have 4 to 6 to 8 people, because they're going to be the last ones to get hooked up. If Roland Park loses power coming to Fairway, that's going to be the first thing Kansas City Power and Light fixes. So it's not going down Mission Road, it's not going down 63rd Street to start, it's smaller circuits.
Thank you very much, sir. Outside of stormwater management, in your opinion, and we will begin this echoing with you, what is the most critical issue that if the city does not address in the next 4 years, it will place the municipality in a challenging position?
Other than stormwater?
Other than stormwater.
Ooh.
Well, I'm gonna go out on a limb here.
I'm not saying is everything just must be perfect.
Oh, actually, yeah. Honestly, the past 8 years, we have had I'm gonna use part of my minute and a half here. We have a council that works beautifully together. And we have solved we've been busy. We have solved a lot of our issues. Is everything perfect? No. Is everybody happy? No. But we're trying to do that. KCP&L, that's an emotional issue. I have reached out to KCP&L. Unfortunately, burying the lines is going to be extremely difficult because that's a private investment. Those are private individuals that will have to pay for that. That is not a city expense. So I'm not sure, where we can go with that. But our outages of electricity, that is a problem. And I was one of those individuals who stood in their backyard at 3 a.m. in the morning and heard the electricians laugh at the pole that was in the backyard, laying in my backyard. Where did this equipment come from? 1940? And I reached out to KCP&L the very next day, talked to an individual, and said, this has got to stop. There now is a timeline in place to review all of our equipment and assess that. I have that timeline, and I will hold KCP&L to that timeline.
Thank you very much. Mr. Pop.
Well, as Ellie said, we have really in the last 8 years fixed most of the major problems. We've replaced the pool building, improved the pool, we've found a new home for Public Works, we've found a new home for City Hall. The streets are all in good shape. We've been addressing the tree issues in a timely manner, and that's what we need to continue to do, is maintain what we have in a timely manner. and go forward. As far as the electrical grid is concerned, I think a lot more credence is put on putting it underground than it deserves. Oftentimes, the problem isn't as much our local lines as it is the major backbone coming into the area. And if that backbone goes down, it's all down. That needs to be fixed first. We can bury our lines here, but they're going to come out of the ground somewhere, and they're going to be subject to the weather. Also, in talking to some of the KCP&L people, I've been told they're not that fond of underground lines because if something does go wrong with them, you can't see it. A squirrel gets in there and chews through it, or which happened recently to my internet service, and you can't see it. At least if it's up in the air, you can see where the problem is, but it does need to be modernized.
Thank you very much, sir. Ms. Wiese?
One of the, I think, a really large issue now in the city, as we all are looking at right now, is traffic and safety and effects on our neighborhoods. And as everyone's coming down Shawnee Mission Parkway and not being able to get here on time, and you have to go around through Roland Park and so forth. One of the issues, I think, is to change the timing of the lights from, on Shawnee Mission Parkway from Rainbow all the way down to Mission Road. There's something needs to change with that because we're having issues, even when they're not doing construction. Also, a left turn lane going north to south on Belinda with an arrow, with a left arrow, because we're always having bottlenecks there also, and it's a big issue. Also, people were talking about traffic calming devices such as speed bumps to put on Belinda. I think we can be more innovative than that. I think because if you put speed bumps on Belinda, you're going to decrease response time of emergency vehicles, police. People are going to go to the next street to get away from that, and the next street is Norwood, and it has more residences and more parking. So you're going to cause more problems from your fellow citizens versus getting rid of the problem at all. I think we should try emotionally intelligent signs like drive like your kids live here. They're using them in Prairie Village right now, and they're very successful. They're promoted across the country by police departments. Also, or drive like your pets live here if you don't have children. But it really, I think that's a key issue because it's safety.
Thank you very much, Ms. Wiese. Mr. Bailey?
Since we can't speak about Rock Creek.
You needed a more visual.
Oh, right, I got more visuals for it. That is a major project. Past that, it is secondary projects. There, so much has been done over the last 8 years, like has already been said. Moving into, everything's already on the schedule to be done. Moving into the new city hall, the Sheridan Bridge, those are projects. Really, the city needs to clearly be following that master plan that they paid for, that they should be using over the next few years. I won't touch again on the electrical other than just to say we need to find a modern solution to our electrical problem that we currently are having. But major projects, I just don't think they're there past Rock Creek.
Very good, sir. Thank you. Ms. Keys, finally to you.
I think maybe I'll speak to a foundational piece. For me, what's critical to our success in the past number of years has been really how we've managed resources and how we've managed our budget. Because we've been fiscally responsible, deliberated, and thought about trade-offs for short-term planning and long-term planning, we've been fortunate to have the dollars in our budget to accomplish everything we want to do. Without that critical piece in the future, we won't be able to be as responsive and innovative as we have in the past. So to speak in a different term, I think what's critical for us is to continue the very thoughtful, deliberate process of considering trade-offs and managing immediate budget as well as our capital improvement plan. We've been great, and I'd really like that success to continue.
Thank you very much, ma'am. My final question is for the mayoral candidates. I'm going to run in this street just let them know. For the last 8 years, you're blessed to have Mayor Wiley as your leader. With having two individuals that seem to be somewhat like-minded, that work in consensus with each other, that both possess the capability and capacity to do a good job leading. Unfortunately, I need to ask this tough question. What will allow you, and this question will go to Mr. Poppin first, Mr. Papier, why will you feel you will be a more effective leader for the city of Fairway moving forward than your candidate?
Oh, boy. Well, I mean, as has been said, we agree on a lot of things. We each have our own different strengths. Melanie's background is accounting, and she's done a wonderful job of working with the finances of the city. Mine is legal, and I'm a student of American history and how government works. I'm dedicated to the proposition that the government is here to serve the people, not the other way around. I'm dedicated to the proposition that any resident of the city of Fairway at any time should be able to come before the city council and express their opinions and concerns, and that needs to be listened to in a polite, thoughtful manner and given due consideration. I feel strongly that it is the responsibility of the city to maintain a police force and protect our public safety, to maintain the city infrastructure, that's been my focus. As I mentioned, we worked on the city code, we worked on the employee manual, worked on services such as trash and leaf pickup in the administration committee. So we've got different strengths, but
We've done a lot.
we've done a lot.
Thank you very much, Mr. Papier. Separately to you.
Jim and I have worked very well together, and it's odd to be running against him. But with the city in the strong fiscal position that it is right now, that is my strength. I am a CPA. I have 44 years of business background. I bring that to the city. To me, that is a top priority. We have to remain fiscally sound. If we don't, we can't accomplish all of these other things. I will keep my hands on the pulse of the finances of the city as mayor. Even though I may not chair the finance committee any longer, that will be part of my daily activity with the city. The second thing is my strength for collaboration, for bringing people together. That was always a strength of mine in business. It continues to be a strength of mine here with the city. I often play the devil's advocate because that way everything, all the issues are on the table for everyone to look at so that we can make the very, very best decisions that we can for all of our residents. That is my approach. It would continue my approach to be my approach as mayor. The issues that Jim raised as far as the public safety, the infrastructure, the openness of the council meetings, that currently exists. It will continue to exist. That's the only way we can function successfully as a city, because we are here representing you and to help you make Fairway the city that you want it to be.
Thank you very much. At this point in time, we've reached the conclusion of our question and answer portion of our program. I think it's very clear and very apparent. All the residents and business owners within the city of Fairway are extremely blessed to have a very thoughtful, collaborative, and transparent governing body. So obviously, as we move forward, the residents will have very difficult decisions as to making some selections on the ballot. So with that, we'll go ahead and begin our closing statements. And Ms. Keys, if I may, I'd like to start with you this time.
Again, thanks for the privilege of your time this evening. It's been wonderful to be able to answer some questions and think through. And I learned a couple of things this evening and sparked some innovation and some ideas and things to think about in future years. So thanks so much.
Mr. Bailey, let me just hold some of these up. Seriously, he's got some really good stuff.
Once again, I just want to thank everybody that did show up, the Shawnee Mission Post, the Northeast Johnson County Chamber of Commerce. If Mr. Fair was to beat me in this election, I would not feel bad about that whatsoever. I would continue serving on the Board of Zoning Appeals. I would continue serving if the next mayor was to ask me to serve in a different position. That really is what I want to just put out there. I'm living here, I want to serve this city. I want to see it go into the next generation when my daughter's growing up, my daughter's going to school here, being a more successful city than it is now. And that sure would be saying something because we are a successful city. Just to reiterate again, if I was elected, my biggest issue would be Rock Creek. With my background in geological engineering, I think I'd be uniquely suited to help drive that situation. Continuing with the Shawnee Indian Mission, development there. At that meeting last night, I thought it was really interesting, and I might get these words wrong, but the Shawnee Indian Mission is on the National Historic Register, and it is one of the two or three sites in the KC metro area that is on that. I think Truman's house and the Fort Leavenworth. So for that to be situated in the middle of Fairway, and Fairway taking an active role in running it, that's amazing. And it's only going to get better over the years. The electrical infrastructure, absolutely something we need to look at. The city master plan, we paid for it. We've done a lot of meetings with that master plan, and now it needs to be implemented. And speaking to what Melanie has been saying, the budget, the zero-sum budget, working from zero up, always bring in more money than you're spending, and work on keeping your capital reserves where you need them, and look towards the future. We do all those things. A lot more people are going to be happy than unhappy in this city.
Sounds great. Ms. Busick.
I want to thank you all for coming tonight. This was a learning experience. I want to reiterate that because it is a learning experience. And I'm so excited to be doing this. My husband and I may not be politically active in the past, but we are very politically aware, city, county, state. I would be very honored if I were to would succeed Melanie as the Ward 1 City Council member. I would like to thank the mayor and Jim and Melanie for their outstanding service to the citizens of Ward 1 in the city of Fairway. I want to work hard to continue the works that they've done and be responsible with my service, listen to my neighbors. My husband and I walk the neighborhoods all the time, and we have a street level view of what's going on, and we talk to our neighbors. And I think that they know me, I know them, I'm learning more about them, which is very exciting. But I'm going to work tirelessly to maintain the high quality of residential life we all have here in Fairway, and that we've come to expect. I want to thank also the city, all of our services, I meant to say that, because we do have great service here. We have wonderful service here. And I didn't get to talk about the Shawnee Indian Mission, but make sure that everybody goes this weekend, Friday, Saturday and Sunday. It's going to be great. Please come, and thank you again for coming, and please vote.
Thank you very much. I think I love it when people bring visuals. Now to our final race. This time, Ms. Heatherly will have you go ahead and close some comments first, followed by Mr. Puffer.
For those of you who know me well, you know I'm a very passionate person. There are issues in my 44-year career that when I'm passionate, I go in 100%, and I follow through with what I promise that I'm going to do, both in my business career and in my volunteer life. I'm equally as passionate about Fairway. I love this city. I want it to remain the livable community that we all enjoy. I will do that as your mayor. I have been very, very honored to be the Ward 1 City Council rep for the past 8.5 years. I would be equally as honored to be able to step in January 1 as your new mayor. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Heatherly. And finally, Mr. Puffer.
Well, first, I'd like to thank the Northeast Chamber of Commerce and the Shawnee Mission Post for arranging this. I think it's a great thing, a great opportunity for us and for the citizens. beyond that, I'm very committed to Fairway. Lived in Fairway for 41 years, reared 3 children here, and it's a great city. And we've done great things over the last 8 years under Mayor Wiley's leadership, and we need to continue doing what we're doing. Yes, we still have some issues. We have the Rock Creek issue, which is a very big issue. We have, as I mentioned, the area around the church, which we need to deal with. We have some traffic problems. We have challenges relating to parking and what it does on our residential streets. And, is there anything we can do to make that better? And of course, the Shawnee Indian Mission, which is very near and dear to my heart, as actually the West Building at one time was owned by a relative of mine. So I want to see it continued. The land for it was taken by eminent domain, and the state has a responsibility to maintain it, which it is not doing. So essentially, we have been forced to step in and do what the state is not. Hardly fair for a city of 4,000 people to have to finance a state operation. But we find ourselves in that position. I hope very much that the foundation is able to raise the funds to enable the mission to continue to operate under local control, because that's a great advantage over having to wait for Topeka to okay something. But if it doesn't, we have to go back to the drawing board. So that's another possible challenge. Thank you all for coming, and I would very much like to serve as the mayor ongoing.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, please give all of our candidates. It goes to say that public service and volunteering are sometimes a very thankless job, and so these individuals have been working very hard to earn your trust moving forward. So now that we've reached the conclusion of our mayoral city council forum, just a few housekeeping items just to share with you. As you know, you have contested races for the mayoral race in Ward 1 and also in Ward 2. The incumbents are currently pushing through in Wards 3 and Ward 4. Advanced voting by mail begins October 18th. Advanced voting in person will begin Monday, October 30th, and carry all the way through to November 6th, the following Monday, after which time the general election will take place on November 7th. So please stay tuned. You can go to the Shawnee Mission Post at www.shawneemissionpost.com and vote JoCo. But if you go to ShawneeMissionPost.com, you'll be able to see a recap of this event. Please feel free to share it with your neighbors that aren't here. You know, once again, you guys are extremely blessed to have such a wonderful governing body that has served your city quite well. But in an effort to keep everyone informed, please feel free to share that information. As mentioned, this event will be videotaped as well and will be eventually shared with the Shawnee Mission Post, as well as be uploaded to a website, votejoco.com, at which time you may be able to share those resources at that time. So thank you all so much for taking time out of your very busy schedules. Thank you for Jay Center at the Shawnee Mission Post for co-sponsoring this event with us. Thank you very much and have a wonderful evening.